Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Lazy Fox podcast. We're back again. We're going to discuss potential summer transfer movings, big names that could be going in the summer after the Euros, I suppose. If you could, it would be great if you could subscribe, like, and even comment on the video. See what your, thoughts and opinions are on what we're about to discuss. So, yeah, we've got a few names we're discussing about, haven't we, to begin with? There's obviously a lot of talk this week and about Harry Kane potentially leaving Tottenham. It would be quite a big surprise because he has been there his whole career, hasn't he? And this could be a good time for him to go. I think he has got one big move left, because he's 27, 28?
Yeah.
Should really know the captain of England's age, but as an Arsenal fan, Harry Kane knowledge is not my strong suit. So it's.
It was a good guess, Chris. He's 27.
Yes, I knew, right? 27. Harry Kane. So yeah, 27. So yeah, you'd think he's got it's at his peak, really, isn't he? This is his prime. He should really, if he wants to kick on and actually win something, because you have to remember he hasn't actually won much, has he, at Spurs, or if anything? So. Yes. I don't think he's won anything, has he? Nothing.
He's won nothing. And I always think of, well, as a Liverpool fan, I think, do I have the right really to say, oh, he should move, he shouldn't be a one club man, he's not going to win anything? Because then I think of Steven Gerrard. But then I'm like, the only thing Gerrard didn't win was the Premier League. And I know that's like the holy grail and everyone sort of mugs him off for it. But he won the Champions League, the UEFA Cup, which is now Europa, League Cups, FA Cups. He won all of that stuff. So, I mean, the amount of banter that Steven Gerrard gets, I mean, I should be giving Harry Kane loads. He deserves the abuse.
No, definitely. I mean, obviously they got to the Champions League final and they didn't win it. But like I say, I think it's unfair because Steven Gerrard, he single-handedly got you that FA Cup against West Ham, didn't he? And he was a big player in those games, and he always turned up in the big
always
occasions.
Turned up, always.
See, I mean, look, Harry Kane is a great striker. I can't, there's no denying it. The numbers show he scores his numbers throughout the season. He could be the one who goes on and potentially beat Shearer's record in the Premier League, and I believe that could happen if he. The move we're going to discuss if he does stay in the Premier League, because he for his age he's still got another 5-6 years of potentially getting 20, 30 goals a season, and that will break Shearer's record. And obviously for England he's still scoring for them, for us as well. So but do you have any idea where you think that Harry Kane should go to better his career and which would be beneficial, you reckon, in the long run? You got any ideas?
I think, I mean, look, anyone at the moment other than Tottenham would be better for Harry Kane. And I don't just say that, you're Arsenal, I'm Liverpool, so we dislike them. I'm looking at them from the outside. That club looks so toxic. Jose Mourinho talking about feeding his kids and that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't a good father. I don't know what he's going on about. It's just, if you're Harry Kane sat in that locker room, you must be thinking, Jesus Christ, because although they weren't winning things under Pochettino, he was such a great manager. And obviously the feeling around Tottenham was so positive. Now they're not winning anything. And I don't know, it's like they've got the Grinch in charge. So...
Yeah, they're not anything, and they're not even playing nice football, are they? They've given.
It's awful. Yeah. Did you watch the United Tottenham game yesterday?
Yeah,
I watched it, and it was honestly like fair play to Man United because as a Liverpool fan, I don't want to sit here give credit. Cavani, what a player he's been. Paul Pogba in particular in the second half, but Tottenham, my word, there was just. I mean, they edged the first half. I say that very generously, but. The second half, did they even have a shot on target? It's just terrible.
They sat back, didn't they? They sat back and they were hoping to keep a clean sheet. And then once Man United scored, then their whole game plan was out the window, wasn't it? And they were no. It was just not pleasant to watch. And I reckon as a Spurs fan, when you see the likes, you've got Son, Kane, Bale, playing such a defensive way, when you've got all this attacking talent, must be so, so annoying to see this, isn't it? I suppose Man United had that as well when Mourinho was in charge of them. It was sort of similar.
I'm always kind of slightly reluctant to criticise Jose because I do rate him. What he's done in the game is incredible. But he is, I mean, he is going off the boil at the moment. He is bonkers. It is just bizarre rant after bizarre rant, and you just think, oh, my God, he needs to go. I think he genuinely not just needs to leave Tottenham. He needs to leave the Premier League. He needs to take some serious time out because the game's moving on. And I've always gone like, no, it's not gone beyond Mourinho, but I think it has at this point. And I would have said
Yeah.
if he had maybe, if he'd won the Premier League with Tottenham Hotspur, or if he goes on to win the Premier League with Tottenham Hotspur, which looks incredibly unlikely, I would say it'd be the biggest achievement, even bigger than winning the Champions League with Porto, because Tottenham are just renowned for bottling everything. I mean, it is, what did that Juventus say? It's the history of the Tottenham, so of just bottling games and finals. So it's what they're renowned for. So I was kind of, interested as a football fan, seeing Mourinho at Tottenham, but it's been a massive failure. And going back to Harry Kane, where okay, I've gone on a bit of a long-winded, bizarre tangent for your question. I'm going to counter your question with another question, because as good as Harry Kane is, you're probably going to have to spend 150, maybe 200 million to get him. And teams have obviously been affected by COVID, but would anyone genuinely pay that money, considering Harry Kane's injury record? And he usually misses, between 4 to 8 weeks at least a season. That's a lot of money for that player to suddenly go missing, and it's always January time, always probably arguably the toughest time of the season. So to counter your question, who would spend that money on him?
Right. I think Man City would do. I think Man City would buy him because he is a guarantee of goals. And I mean, you see how many chances the likes of Jesus gets, and Sterling and all the strikers get. Harry Kane will put most of those chances away. He will literally have a field day with that Man City midfield, with the likes of De Bruyne behind him. And I think Man City would pay that, especially as Aguero is going to leave at the end of the season, and they need somebody up there. And I think he'll be quite a good, just quick fix. He'll just be a guarantee because he's obviously done it in the Premier League before. Obviously, Man City are just like they throw money at anything, don't they? They can just, they can buy anything.
Well, they do, but they don't tend to spend massive, do they, on like one player? They spend a lot in transfer windows, but I mean, I think Liverpool have spent bigger on like one player, like Van Dijk, and obviously Man United 90 million on Pogba. I don't think City usually do that. I mean, they might do for Harry Kane. I mean, he is a one-off type player.
Yeah, I mean, look, they could potentially win the quadruple still, couldn't they, City? And that will probably give them a lot of money in funds and stuff, and that could help pay towards it. But I don't know, because if Man City do win everything, then maybe people are saying, maybe they don't need Kane because they're obviously clearly, good because they've won the Premier League, they've won the FA Cup, they're winning all, but I do feel that Man City would pay that much money. Or I think the other team would do it would be PSG, because they seem to have, endless money as well. They're the two teams that I think are pretty much governed by countries, so money's not an issue. But yeah, I can see that, but I think Kane will go to Man United. I've always seen Kane at Man United. I don't like to say this. I mean, obviously, but he just seems like one of those people that's obviously, he's like the English captain. He's very traditional, and obviously Man United traditionally is the biggest club in England. And I think Kane will probably see that, and he probably likes the tradition of Man United, obviously being the greatest team. He obviously wants them to be back winning trophies again. And look, Man United up front have got Cavani at the moment, Greenwood and Rashford. But I think obviously Cavani's going to go, and there will be a space for Kane to slot in at Man United. And I can just see him as a Man United player, sort of like in the ilk of Wayne Rooney and all the other great English forwards they've had. And I mean, I hate to see it, because I would hate to see Harry Kane at Man United. I mean, I slightly like it more than seeing him at Tottenham, but it would hurt at Man United as well. But I think this summer, I could easily see him going to Man United. It just depends if Man United can afford him or if they want to pay that much for him. What about you? Is that an image you can see? Can you see that?
Yeah, it's a horrible image, isn't it? But
yeah,
when you kind of mentioned sort of Harry Kane at Manchester City or City spending that money,
yeah.
I can't see it at City. I can't see City wanting to spend that much money on him. I don't think he's a Pep Guardiola type player. I know how good he is finishing, and you were saying the midfield would create so many opportunities for him, but I don't think Pep likes those traditional kind of number nines, and that's what Harry Kane is. And I feel like I'm doing Kane a bit of a disservice because this, and to be fair to Mourinho, I think he's probably improved him since Pochettino's left. He's starting to drop deep more. He's picking up more assists. I think his overall awareness or his game management, you're talking about Harry Kane here, has improved. So that's a real credit to Mourinho, despite all the darkness that he's sort of brought to the club. But yeah, I don't see him at Man City. And I was, before you said Man United, I was going to say I think Harry Kane and Man United, it goes hand in hand. It really does. And Cavani's going to leave this season or at the end of the season. I know they've got the option to renew the contract, but I don't think he wants to stay. Not because he hates the club. I mean, he might do if he's got some common sense. But I just think I think he wants to go back to South America. And I think, like you said, you made some really good points actually about traditionally Man United are such a huge club, and they're certainly a bigger club than Man City. Maybe not currently, but I can see Harry Kane sort of buying into that. And also, Man City don't need him. It's like you said, they could very well win the quadruple this season. They don't need Harry Kane. They haven't needed Sergio Aguero. They don't even need a striker half the time. They're that good. They got midfielders playing up front and just running away with everything. So Man United haven't won the title since 2013. So that will be 8 years, the best part of a decade. I think Harry Kane will like the idea of he could be the missing piece that brings Man United's first title in pretty much a decade. And also the British thing, Rashford's there, Mason Greenwood, who I think is going to be a generational talent. I think that kid is something really special, playing obviously alongside Maguire. So for me, I can't see anyone else but Man United, and I don't see him going abroad. So terrifyingly, I think it's going to be Manchester United who get him.
And I think he will want to stay in the Prem. I think he will want to beat Shearer's record. He wants to obviously climb up that top scorer table.
Definitely.
And like you say, when you think of Harry Kane, you can definitely see him in a Man United shirt because they've obviously shelled out all that money from Maguire. So Man United do have the funds. I mean, obviously Man United fans are going to be ecstatic if that does happen, and that will probably will that be that if they do sign him on that much money, surely they're going to be their only signing in the window. Unless they just get all these funds from somewhere, but you never know.
They're back in the Champions League, aren't they? And they've obviously wanted Sancho for such a long time. I don't think they need Sancho. Greenwood can play on that right-hand side, and like look at me here, bigging up all these Man United players. I hate it, but when he came on yesterday, I was in awe of him. And we've set up a new Instagram page for the podcast. And literally one of my first posts was just Mason Greenwood. And I was just drooling as I was typing it. He's so good. He is. And look, I'm terrified. And I think that's the best sign as a rival fan when you go, Jesus Christ, this guy, like he came on. And who's Spurs' left back? It's Reguilon?
Well, Reguilon,
Reguilon. And he must be thinking, what did he do wrong? Because Greenwood is so left-footed. He's got such a lethal left foot. And Reguilon puts him onto the right-hand side. And you think as a defender, right, go on then, have a go. And he does. He takes it on his weaker foot, nearly takes Lloris's head off. What a talent. So, I will be very fearful of Man United going forward. They've got some incredibly exciting young players. And if they put Harry Kane in there, God,
the title drought could be over, couldn't it?
The title drought could be over.
I'm still suspect of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, even though he has proven us wrong all the time. I still can't see him as a guy who can finish the job. I'd say he's like a Brendan Rodgers, isn't he? Where he's like so close, but then it just at the end it always goes wrong. Like because all these semi-finals that Man United have had and never progressed. I mean, if look, Man United fans obviously do rate Solskjaer now because he's doing the second in the table. They potentially could get to the Europa League final and everything. But there's still something about him. I'm not completely convinced with him. And I think if Man United do get like a top manager in with Kane, and then I think they could potentially dominate, next season and many seasons to come with sort of their young talent they have, mixed with, they've got good experience. If Pogba stays, which is a potential, he might not. He's at that age now where he's at his prime. So yeah, I don't know. Has Solskjaer convinced you in any way, or are you still a bit 50-50 with him?
I have to admit, I've bought into the hype. Yeah, I have. What is this? Is this a Man United loving? Jesus, I'm a Liverpool fan, but you know what? Yes, I still think he's a young coach and he makes mistakes. And look, the way that Man United play first half football is a concern because eventually it will come back to bite them and they won't be able to keep sort of coming back constantly. But I think I'm always a big believer that teams represent their manager massively. They carry the manager's characteristics onto the pitch. And I think they just are Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a bit quiet, he's a bit shy. And that's what Man United are. First half, a little bit tepid and don't really know. And then suddenly they kind of roar into action, that very much that sort of 90s Man United, of that never give up spirit. I don't think tactically he's the greatest manager in the world, but I'd argue that when you've got a world-class squad, and I think he has got a world-class squad, and I've said this about Man United for a long, long time, even when Mourinho was there, I felt that squad was much better than what it was performing. And De Gea and Henderson, that's a luxury for any manager to have such quality goalkeepers. Luke Shaw has come from being being abused by their former manager in public to being probably head and shoulders the best left back in the country at the moment. Wan-Bissaka, I think, gets so much criticism. He's the best one-on-one defender and he's getting better going forward. Maguire, I think Maguire's a very, very good defender. I mean, look, he doesn't strike me as the most charismatic captain unless he's out in Greece throwing a few punches. But, I think he's a good player. Paul Pogba, I think he's world-class. Bruno Fernandes is world-class. I think McTominay and Fred are very, very good. Matic is underrated. Greenwood, like I said, I think is a generational talent. I think Marcus Rashford is the only one that I think has gone off the boil a little bit. He's saving too many starving children, and he needs to forget about that now. He needs to focus back on his football. But I think Man United do have a world-class squad, and I think when you've got that luxury as a manager, yes, tactics are important, but I think his man management is fantastic, and clearly the players love playing for him. So. Yes, maybe tactically, I could say that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could improve, but I think his man management is so good, and the players clearly love playing for him, that I am buying into the Solskjaer hype, I must admit.
That's fair enough. I think the only thing that would put Man United off is whatever the price is going to be, and obviously, Levy's not going to sell for cheap, is he? He knows that he's their biggest asset. And
he's the best at it, isn't he, Levy? Really ripping opposition teams off in the transfer and getting full value. We could call it ripping off. Harry Kane is worth that amount of money. It's an absurd amount of money, but he probably is worth it. So I suppose the only worry for Man United fans would be Ed Woodward, who has been a clown in the transfer windows. Let's be honest. I mean, that Sancho debacle all summer long. I mean, he wanted to go. It was very public that Man United wanted him, and you could just imagine that around the negotiation table, that Woodward would infuriate you, and then at the end of a negotiation, instead of getting a deal, the opposition will just probably slap on another 50 million just to annoy him. He's got that, I don't know, face about him, isn't he? It's something about him that's really irritating. So I would imagine that Kane would want to go to United. And I think if Man United don't pull off a big summer signing, someone like Kane or Jadon Sancho, and if they have to shop for backup options, I can imagine Ed Woodward is I can't imagine he would survive. He must be hanging on by a thread at that club.
No, definitely. I can see Man United fans, they're very sort of against him, aren't they? Like you say, last the summer transfer window when they got Cavani last minute, and people thought, oh no, there's a panic signing, wasn't it really? Because you know, it was a free, it was an easy transfer to get done, wasn't it? But honestly, I rated Cavani, and I always thought Cavani would be a good signing for Man United, and he has turned out to be quite good. He scored some big goals.
He's been brilliant, hasn't he?
He has been brilliant, yeah. So I don't think their window was as bad as most people thought. But obviously, it's just because of the letdown of the Sancho thing is what made it such a letdown. Really. Yeah.
It's got a full shot of my body there as I had to open my curtain to get a bit of light in it. It's so dark. But yeah, no, I think you're right about Cavani. He is fantastic, and I think he makes the best runs as a striker that I've seen in the Premier League at the moment. You know, maybe barring Harry Kane. And I think in a world at the moment, or in a football sense, we're so obsessed with this idea of false nines and midfielders playing as strikers and all this tick-attack of football. It's so refreshing to have just an old-fashioned type striker just sprinting to the near post, either to make space or just get his beautiful head of hair onto it, and just, you know, the bloke loves a header, doesn't he? So I think Cavani's fantastic. I thought it was a really good deal in the summer. Like you, I love him, and you know, back in the day when we used to play FIFA together, we'd always get Cavani for the Arsenal. So yeah, he's a great player. Gone off him a little bit now that he's played for Man United, but no, he's been a really good signing.
Yeah. So we're saying Kane to United.